Alright, so I wanted to do a bit of a fun video here where we talk about Sukuna. Okay, now he is coming out to JP on the 30th of December. The exact time, I'm not too sure actually. I don't know if it says the exact time. I'm pretty sure it doesn't though. Like, where is it? Is it not supposed to be at the end? Oh, here it is. It doesn't say the exact time, but the one thing we know is this. Okay, let's play this. There's a domain expansion, right? We see the domain expansion right here, right? And I'm excited to see the full animation in play, especially the art animation, because we've been getting some hitters with Yuji and Gojo especially. And my good friend Green Hoops, who I'm sharing the JP account with, made a speculation onto his kit. So I thought, why not kind of break it down, see what I agree with, what I disagree with, what I want to see too, okay? So I kind of use the wiki, especially at least for the alt, to kind of go through what we could probably see, all right? I think it's pretty important for us to kind of go through this, well, at least use the wiki, because they have things that are very similar to the anime. For example, they gave Toji attack immunity nullification simply for the fact that Toji, well, gets through the attack nullification of Gojo, right? So it's basically in line, but it doesn't do anything, right? It doesn't really do anything, but they have it because of the canon, right? Same thing with this Gojo. He's weaker, doesn't have the same stats as the other Gojos because, well, it's hidden inventory Gojo. He doesn't have permanent attack immunity either. So things like this kind of lead us to kind of see that, yeah, they go a lot off of the canon material to make these units, right? And I think that's very, very important to realize when we're talking about these units. So let's see what exactly Green Hoops was cooking up, and we'll see what we agree with, what we disagree with. Let me know if you like these types of videos, right? For example, I did this with the tier list. I used the wiki's tier list because people who have vastly more knowledge than me about the game made it. And then I talked about what I agree with, what I disagree with, and Green Hoops did this, so why not? So he says typing blue. Now, people are arguing. I see a lot of people arguing for green or blue, right? The argument for blue is that the last good unit was Ghetto, technically, and they only have two really good units, right? Where for green, we have Domain Gojo, Mahito, where Mahito is very fucking good, but usually is meant as a second option, or is in a complete stall team, which that could also take a while. You might need also other units to accompany Mahito. And then, of course, now there's Yuji and Nanami. The thing is with green is that in reality, there's only really one top tier green unit, where for blue, there's both Blue Gojo and Ghetto. So people are arguing that, yeah, we should probably get a green unit first, and then for Shibuya, we could get someone to fill this, well, 13th slot now, right? And the other argument for green is because we just got Miguel, right? And if we look at it, we got Gojo, we got Miguel, we got Itadori, the latest of each color, and we're missing a green unit, right? So the argument here is that we should get another green unit because we haven't seen a green unit, not even in the reruns, right? The rerun was Ghetto and Yuta. So red's off the hook, red's no way. Blue, technically, we got two blue units, so it's like even blue is a bit iffy. Yellow has too many good yellows, right? It's insane. Even Junpei's in the standing, Maikamaru's decent. We got three like S plus units, right? It's crazy. So then it's like green is really the lackluster one because sure, there's Gojo and then there's these three hard hitters, but are they god level? In my opinion, no, right? Ghetto's good for certain stall teams, but it's just not the same. So that's something that we have to consider when talking about this, to where we need a green unit right now. I'm not gonna lie, when I see a green type advantage, I actually just get scared because I'm like, what am I gonna do? Where when it's blue, I'm like, okay. I mean, if there's debuff immunity, I'm scared. But if not, I'm like, okay, I got Ghetto, I got Gojo. But for green, it's like, fuck, this is gonna be annoying, right? So that's my personal opinion as to why I think it's gonna be green, okay? Now then, he gave 950 HP, which I'm going to use Gojo as the benchmark. So Gojo is a bit higher, so I'd say 950 is good. Now, having same taijutsu and jujutsu actually does make sense, especially in the earlier ones, because you don't see him use as much cursed, at least against the, well, when he comes out versus Megumi, right? I'm not sure the exact one, but people were saying I think this is two-finger Sukuna, so we'll have to see. But having taijutsu and jujutsu makes sense since he has like basically a mastery of both. Now, initial cursed energy of 50 is pretty high, but I think it makes sense. Now, alt gauge of 2000, that is crazy fucking high. Absolutely. Oh, I really think that 2000 is on the higher amount. Now, Red Gojo could get his ult pretty quick. The only problem is Red Gojo has a recollection bit memory, and he's at 1500. So personally, I disagree with the 2000, especially if we're gonna make him into a damage dealer. I just don't see this, if I'm being honest. Okay, like genuinely, I don't see how this could really end up happening. Okay, I would say maybe 1500. I'd say 12 to 1500 feels more reasonable. 2000 to me, way too high. Okay, I don't know. I really just I don't see 2000. Now, besides that, the characteristic is increases own damage when an attack is evaded. So I'm gonna guess he has something about evading attacks, and that makes sense. I mean, he's able to dodge a good amount of stuff, and I think he does have a skill related to that. But honestly, it's been a while since I've consumed JJK media, which I am planning on doing a reread. Well, I read up to what's it called? Oh, I'm forgetting. I reread up to calling games. I got like halfway through, which should be the next arc, right? So I'm past the anime, but it's been a while. Like, I stopped reading, well, when I caught up, right? I caught up before Shibuya arc was even animated. And yeah, I think it's time for me to finish the manga. And, you know, things like this, little details, I don't fully remember, but I think he does have something related to evasion or just good reflexes, right? Now, for this skill 1, deals ranged damage equal to 400%. That is very high. If we just look at it, for example, I mean, this is 500, but Gojo is less of a, what's it called? Of a DPS unit, so it's like a bit different in my opinion. But if we go to like someone else, I don't fucking know, like Itadori, let's see, is 400 really high, or am I tripping? 400 is decently high when you look at that, for sure. But I think it makes sense. Now, recovers 10 cursed energy. That's actually pretty interesting. Doesn't fill alt gauge. Oh, interesting. Okay. And then if domain, this should be taijutsu. Oh, it's jujutsu. Really? Okay. All right, interesting. I'm guessing that dismantle is related to Jujutsu, and then if domain is active, increases the selected enemy's damage received by 50%. So to me, overall, this feels a bit weak, but we'll see what else, how the kit is working. We'll see if it balances out well. Okay. Now, I'm gonna guess this is increases own damage for like 2 turns, right? But even JJK itself is very undescriptive, and it pisses me off. I don't know about y'all, but having it be where you don't know when an attack is like, or when the damage increases for 1 turn or permanent, it pisses me the fuck off, bro. Now then, the pathetic 15 cursed energy while evasion is active. Okay, increases own damage. We might need to read the passive first. Okay. At the start of the battle, grants evasion to self for 4 turns if there's no Yuji character on the team. Okay, actually, that's pretty interesting, because it makes sense. Now, I would like to see an Itadori going into Sukuna, and I would also like to see a Sukuna going or de-transforming into Itadori. I think they could do both of them, right? That would both of those would be really fucking interesting, right? Because it would be like the Gojo restriction where maybe you alt and then afterwards you go into Itadori, and then it's like he's there. He's just going to be a bit of a weakened state. He's basically just going to be a meat shield after he alts. That would be something cool. I just want to bring that up. Now, increases own damage by 5% every time an attack is evaded. I would put that to 15. 5%, unless he's got some other crazy stuff. 5% is low-key a bit low. Like, give him 15% for sure. Like, Toji gets up to like 75% damage increase on his passive, right? Increases or recovers 5 cursed energy every time an attack is evaded. Great. Recovers 10 cursed energy every turn. Recovers 15 cursed energy when defeating an enemy. So that, I actually like the auto skill name. Now, if there is a Yuji on the team, leaves battle. Leaves if HP is below 20%, leaves battle. Okay, that's actually kind of fire. Wait, I think we might have something like this. Maybe if he gets too low, yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, if we're having something like this, I think we should have a damage reduction depending on how much cursed energy, right? That's probably what I'd say. Now then, let's get into it, because maybe his skills are okay. I mean, that looks pretty crazy. So skill 2, 15 cursed energy. While evasion is active, grants 15% damage increase for 5 turns. So that means you could stack this. Increases own break damage by 100% for 3 turns. Increases own critical rate by 50% for 3 turns. If evasion is not active, give evasion to self for 4 turns. Okay. Now remember, evasion does not dodge AoEs, but having evasion is going to make it very hard to get below 20%. Very hard. Now, increases own alt gauge by 500 for... Wow. Okay. I guess that's how we're going to deal with a 2000 alt gauge. 500 does not consume cursed energy. You can activate this twice. 500 is an insane amount. I think I'd maybe take this out, but would instead just have it to be where like it's a lower alt gauge. Because then, I mean, we'll have to see how the ult works. I think that's it. I'll review this because I haven't read this kit. Now, Cleave 25 Crystal Energy just makes me like, where does the Crystal Energy influx need to be used, right? Deals melee combined damage equal to 900 Taijutsu and Jujutsu to the selected enemy. 900 is low. Decreases the selected enemy's crit res by 50%. Increases own damage taken by 5% for 6 turns. I'm going to guess he meant 50%. Because 5%... I don't care if it's for 6 turns, is meh, right? If domain is active, increases the selected enemy's damage received by 100%. Okay, so this is where I think, to me, right? I would low-key, this is fine to keep. I would definitely say that the skill 1 should change then, right? I think it should be, maybe, because this is what? Damage received by 100%, maybe for 2 turns. I would say this should go down, or maybe change to like, I don't know, a damage increase, like a Jujutsu increase on self, right? That's what I would do personally. Overall though, having a buff on him would make some amount of sense. I could definitely see it, right? This one, it feels too repetitive, and I'm gonna guess this is 50%. Now then the ult, this is basically what it revolves around. And okay, if there's only one enemy and the enemy is a curse, instant kill the enemy. That would be fucking hilarious, bro. Now it's only one enemy, which usually is going to be very difficult to actually get to. So this is like very few cases. The problem with this is I don't see them doing this. Reason being, I'd like to say most of these higher floors are, please no ads. Okay, actually there's 2 enemies here. Yeah, so if we consider that all these floors have multiple enemies, then yeah, that would make sense, right? But here there's one enemy, right? So you could technically bring Sukuna into it and just kill. So I really do feel like that might be a bit too much. It might be. I would say maybe, to me, right, what I would do instead is that he does like guaranteed, like he guaranteed hits the enemy, right? So to me, what I would do instead is have the Mahito ability, right? Now, what I mean by that is bring the Mahito ability where you do a certain amount of damage, okay? So maybe instead of 15%, Sukuna does 35% of the enemy's HP just like that, right? If they're a curse. And then, if not, you do 3,000%. It has to be Taijutsu and Jujutsu. It would either be 1,500 of each or like a different mix. So I'd say probably just Jujutsu to all enemies. Stun for 2 turns. I don't see this happening. Since they just did a Gojo, there's no way this happened, so I'd cross that off. Decrease all enemies' alt skill count. This is for sure going to happen, I think. Cancels out other domain expansions. Yep. And enhances certain skills. Yep. Cannot charge alt gauge for 3 turns. Usually it's 4 turns. Increases own evasion by 1 turn. So this is basically a damage killer, right? 3,000% is absolutely huge, especially when you consider this gives damage by 50% for 5 turns. You could use this 4 times, right? And then you'd be able to ult right after. In some cases, depending. That's what I would look for. He'd basically be getting the crit, right? So we have to consider these types of things, where this 3,000%, I could see it being the highest ult damage for sure. I could definitely see that. The thing is, the domain has to be different than Gojo's. I think they make all these domains very different, in my opinion, right? What's his name? Gojo's is stun and damage decrease, debuff, right? Mahito's is letting him, it's buffing him while doing guaranteed damage of 15%, right? And changing the skills. Jogo is the burns. Hanami is the damage lower, right? So they all have something different. So to me, Sukuna could probably make what Mahito does, but better, while also just being a damage. Also, Degumi being a debuffing, well, enhancing skills one, and making sure that Degumi can't take damage. So to me, I'd cross off the stuns, keep the damage. I could see 2,500 plus, right? Easily. And then I would also probably, in my opinion, go for maybe like that 35% damage, like guaranteed, of the HP. And I think you're fine, right? It's basically Mahito's, but instead it's more of a damaging besides that. So you're doing guaranteed damage and this, right? I'd say the guaranteed damage is going to make him just solid as a DPS, no matter the color. And to me, this kind of is going to confirm that he's a limited unit if he is really that good. And why I'm saying this is because in the domain, like in the wiki, like there's multiple times that they mention, I'm not going to show the wiki because I feel like anything could be a spoiler, but there's multiple times from the Malevolent Shrine, you'll see that it's like cleave, right? So it's like a cleave and then it's like a sure hit effect, right? So things like this, and it's a guaranteed hit ability, right? Where to me, I would definitely say that we should get either one of the highest damaging alts or it's just guaranteed like HP of the enemy, right? One of the two. Overall, though, I think having a buff effect for Sukuna would actually be very strong. And definitely, like, I would say that having him leave the battle, but making him extra strong in counter to that would be good, right? I'd say this is funny. Like, I think it's just, like, cannot, like, yeah, actually, this makes sense. This does make sense. It's better than just restricting Yuji and Sukuna as the same character because, you know, you could technically only have one, but still. And then if HP is below 20% leaves battle, that makes sense, right? I think the Annoying Vessel actually is really interesting, but maybe make it like, I'd say high chance Sukuna actually has dodge when I considered it, but maybe make it below 40 or 50 because AoEs aren't doing a crazy amount of damage, but maybe give him where if it's 40% or 30, but instead give him some damage reduction. Now the cursed energy is nice to have. It's just maybe make the cursed energy useful. So for example, his ult, right? Make it that like he gets a 50% or 100% damage increase depending on cursed energy, right? I think that could actually be pretty interesting. And in turn, maybe give him a low starting CE, but let him get a lot, right? Something like that. Now, the only thing that wasn't really mentioned in this kit was really the burns, because you could see here, there's a very like fiery aspect, because like there's lava here and at the beginning, right? You have like, well, this is more for curses, so maybe there's gonna be a curse dot, but then here, fire, right? So I could really see something related to fire because they even show like this Sukuna, right? So I really do feel like we could get something related to fire on this one for sure. For sure. We'll have to see. But I definitely think that he has a lot of potential. I could even see there being a taunt effect. But if it's not on this one, it's for sure going to be on the Shibuya one, you know, when he stopped everyone from moving. I definitely think that having like the 10 people versus him or like around him could definitely give him a taunt effect type of thing. But there's so many ways to go about him. But one thing's for sure that we all agree on is that he should be the highest damage dealer in the game, especially because you're going to be able to use him with Red Gojo, right? So that's going to be interesting. But I definitely think there's two things, right? I'm fine with this kit, essentially. The only thing is remove the stun, put in the guaranteed damage or HP dealt, right? Of like 30, 35%. I really feel like you should have something like that. Almost every Sukuna should, in my opinion. And it's going to make them extremely valuable. And then maybe like tweak the passive a bit, remove the cursed energy, and then like it's kind of good. I definitely think that we could see something relatively similar to this, but we're obviously going to see on the 30th, right, how exactly this is going to look, and hopefully it looks crazy. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you personally think we're going to see for his kit. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Green Hoops, for just making this, because I would not have the energy to. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.